Bleed the World Live is out today in Australia. I think that's the way the
Yeah.
date works out. I listened
Yep.
last night. It's a killer live sound, really awesome stuff, man.
Thank you.
I recorded it across several cities on the US tour in 2023. Do you remember ever finishing playing a song and going, "Yep, that's the take for the live album"?
No, I think we were all too, like just in the whatever in the performance to really think about that kind of stuff.
Mm,
One of the things that took a while with the live album was just to sift through all the recordings and kind of pick pick the ones, for the record. So,
mm. Yeah, it's
yeah.
cool. So yeah, how does putting it out a live Heathen album work? Like, are you sitting together going, okay, which ones do we want to use and that sort of stuff, or is someone sort of in charge of that? Like, how does that work?
Well, I mean, I guess you could say I'm in charge of it.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, the other guys were all, of course, but I manage the band and I kind of push things forward for the band. So, um, I produced the live record and Zeus mixed it. It's awesome. And yeah, I mean, really, I had the guys help me kind of go through some of the performance, pick out songs that we thought were sort of the best or most powerful performance of each one, and then just kind of got to work on assembling all of it.
Mm.
We wanted to represent as many shows as we could, but there was one in particular, the Houston show, where, like, I don't know, we went on fire that night. Like, I think there are three or four songs from that.
Mm.
But we recorded the shows on the tour that we did with Overkill, and we had a 35-minute set basically. We would
Mm.
start our intro, This Rotting Sphere, about 2 minutes before our time started, so that we could get the full per playing.
Mm.
So that kind of informed the movie of the set. And then we pulled a show that we did with Exhorter. It was kind of we had a couple of like one-off shows just with them where we were able to play a longer set, and that particular performance came out really good. So
Oh,
yeah, we're
cool.
really stoked on it. We really like it the way it came. It's a good representation of the sort of 3 years of touring for Empire of the Blind. We really grinded it out and just went everywhere that we could. Got to Australia finally.
Mm.
Um, can't wait to come back.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Good
Yeah.
to hear. Yeah. You recorded a live album with Psychosis and Prototype as well, right? How did this live recording compare to those ones?
I mean, those were a little bit different. The Prototype live album. So that particular night we opened for Death,
Mm.
and it was when Death did the live and raw uh, DVD and audio. And back then, at that particular venue, the Whiskey a Go Go, they had cameras set up, and they would film you if you just had to pay for it.
Mm.
So we paid to have film it, and then we took the audio from that and made it. The show is up on our YouTube channel also, but we took the audio from that. We weren't really able to do anything with it in terms of the mix because it was already a two-track
Mm.
audio, you know what I mean? So the Psychosis one, we were able to do something with it a little bit and mix it, but we just did ourselves. Guitar player Vince, that's also in Prototype. He was an engineer, worked at a studio for a little while, so he mixed that.
Mm.
Um, this one was a little bit more complicated because we had lots of shows to pick from. On top of it, Zeus was able to really do a lot more in terms of sonic, like the mix.
Mm.
Plus, we had on the crowd, which is missing on the other two. I think that if you look at all the sort of classic live albums, the thing I like about them is that if you close your eyes and you sit there and listen, you can feel like you're there because there's the audience. It's like a sixth member of the band in our case. Um, so I wanted to make sure that we recorded the crowd because I've listened to some recent live albums and it's like they sound good, but the crowd is missing.
Mm,
And it
mm,
and to me, it's not alive. You can't hear the crowd. So we made sure that that was well represented on the live record, and
mm.
it came, like I said, it came out really good. We're stoked with it.
Yeah, that's cool. I saw you talking about Maiden's Live After Death and how you were at one of the shows on that recording. That's cool.
Yeah.
Have you been to any other live shows that ended up on live records at all?
Yeah, actually, so Live After Death, I was at that show. Uh, I was in the audience for there's a band called Lizzie Borden. They had a live album
Mm,
in the late 80s, I think, called the Murderous Metal Roadshow. I'm in the crowd for that.
mm,
Um, uh, I was in the crowd for Dark Angel Live Scars. There was one venue called the Country Club in Los Angeles area where bands would record and shoot videos. Like you can see my jean jacket and my hair and Megadeth in my Darkest Hour music video because that's where they filmed it. So
mm.
I was there constantly for shows and was able to see a lot of real ones there. So um, fortunate to be able to go to some of those amazing shows that are on, that have been recorded for posterity's sake. And the Maiden one definitely. I mean, I don't know I'd have to go look at the CD and see if it even says what songs are from what night, you
Yeah.
know. I went to I think it was night four, is what I said. I think I was 13 or 12 or something. It was
Mm.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it's great. Are there any specific live albums that when you were mixing and putting the Heathen one together that you kind of wanted to capture a similar sort of vibe, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I really talked to Zeus about was just making sure that it captured that kind of classic live album feel. He and I are about the same age, have the same like taste in music for the most part, um, and he knew exactly what I meant. Like I didn't really have to describe it too much more. The sort of the classic, Ozzy tribute and Speak of the Devil and the Live After Death. And I mean, there's so many great live albums from sort of the late 70s and early 80s that all have that like magic, captured in it. So
Mm.
that was what we wanted to try and do, is just get that feel like you could close your eyes and be there.
Yeah, that's
And
great.
I wish we could have filmed everything. We do have a music video for the uh, Sun in My Hand, and then there's also one for The Blight
Oh, cool.
that just
Mm,
came out. Yeah.
sweet. Yeah, so did you only film those two songs or something? Was there not the setup to kind of film everything?
No, so what happened is we had a friend of the band asked if they could film us at a show in Munich, Germany. And we were able to take the video from that and sync it with the audio for the
Mm,
Sun in My Hand video. And then we had another show where another friend of the band filmed, and we were able to put together a video. The Blight is got footage from Munich and Hamburg, Germany, and then some travel stuff from us traveling all over the place, while
oh,
we're on
cool.
tour. So
Mm,
the guy who does our front of house sound in Europe actually is also a video editor, so he put together the Blight live video, and it came out great.
yeah, cool.
Yeah,
Um, so Heathen obviously started back in what, 83, part of the Bay Area Thrash scene. You joined 2007, is that right?
yeah.
Yeah, cool. Tell us about that. How did you first get together with Heathen?
So I went to the Thrash of the Titans concert in 2001 and saw Heathen and all the Bay Area bands that got together for the Chuck Billy benefit
Mm,
concert. And all those bands kind of reunited, or many of them reunited just for that show, including Heathen. And I remember talking to somebody about Prototype, and we were considering getting a separate singer. Um, and the person mentioned Dave. Hey, you should reach out to Dave. And so we were able to get in touch with Dave, and Dave came down to Los Angeles and actually auditioned for Prototype. Somewhere in my archive are a couple of Prototype songs with Dave singing.
Mm,
uh, and it didn't end up working out. We didn't know if it was like a really good fit for the group, in terms of just, people were used to Vince's voice. But a couple of years later, uh, Heathen needed a guitar player, and Dave called and asked if either Vince or I would want to audition. And I'm a huge Bay Area Thrash fan, so I said, yeah, sure.
mm,
And I learned, I think it was 4 songs. I learned Hypnotized, Opiate of the Masses, Dying Season, and Arrows of Agony, if I'm not mistaken. Um, the Evolution record wasn't out yet, but I had the demo from 2005.
mm,
So I learned those 4 songs. Uh, they asked me to come up within 2 weeks, and I said, give me one more week. I just want to dial it in a little bit more. So I went up there and I auditioned, and we finished playing songs a couple times, and Lee looked at me and he said, "Do you want to join the band?" So I said yes, and that was it.
mm. Yeah, man,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
You've got songwriting credits on Evolution of Chaos as well, right? And Empire of the Blind, which is
Yeah.
essentially half of the Heathen studio albums. Yeah, like, um,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. How is it writing with Lee and David? Like, they've obviously been doing it for so long. How does writing work for Heathen coming in and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably changed over the years because, back when those guys started, they were all getting together like multiple times a week and jamming,
Mm, yeah.
and writing. I think I think writing mostly independently in terms of the music, but then working on the vocals together and stuff to get everything to mesh with the music. Um, it's a little different working on Heathen stuff because it's not just thrash. There's the thrash element to it, but there's
Mm,
also just a metal element to it, and we have melodic vocals. So you sometimes you have to work to find a good melody that fits over the top of the music, you know what I mean? So that Dave can sing.
mm,
And so, I don't know how, I can't really say how things worked, with those guys back then, but I know when I joined, I wrote 3 songs for the Evolution of Chaos. Um, and one of them I worked with Dave on the vocals a little bit, so that was Red Tears of Disgrace. I remember being at his place in Berkeley, California, and we sat and worked on that and tried to flesh that out a little bit. Um, Control by Chaos, I actually wrote lyrics for that song, and then left. I worked for Activision making video games at that time, so I
all
would
right.
work Monday through Friday and then fly up to the Bay Area on the weekend.
Mm,
And when I flew home to go back to work, those guys like wrote, I think Dave wrote new lyrics and they redid it. And I came back and it was totally different. And I was like, what the fuck? But it came out great in
mm,
the end. So, and then for Empire of the Blind, I mean, I actually started writing music for that album in 2012. It didn't come out until 2020,
mm,
but everybody was just busy with other things, and I just wanted to go. I wanted to get it done and move forward. So I ended up writing all of it, all the music and all the lyrics.
mm,
I'm glad that we could get it to move forward. I mean, ultimately that was the thing. We needed a new record to kind of kickstart things. So we actually
yeah.
have the new album all written already. Um, I worked on the music, most of the songs with Jason and a couple by myself. And then we had contributions from Dave on lyrics for three of the songs, and yeah, I mean, I can't wait to get into the studio and start working on it. We're going to be going in just a couple months to start the whole thing. So
Awesome, man. That's cool. Yeah, good
yeah,
news.
actually, my
Yeah,
guitar tracks are all finished already. So, but
yeah, nice.
got to do the rest of it.
Yeah, man. Cool. You said you worked at Activision. What were you doing there?
So when I started there like in 1999, like right when the video game industry was starting to come back.
Mm,
I was really lucky. I got in kind of when it had started. I started there as a tester and and was in customer support, like answering phone calls because we made a lot of PC games back then.
mm,
Um, and then I just kind of worked my way up, and at the end I was a producer. I produced a couple of Tony Hawk games, um, a couple of Guitar Hero games, a 007 James Bond game, and yeah, I mean, just ultimately, I was in charge of the budget, the schedule, and all of that stuff, like making sure that it got done at a high quality and got done on time and that kind of
mm.
stuff. So
Yeah. All
it's
you've
project
also
management, basically.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure that those skills cross over into music as well. Plenty of stuff, you know.
They do. I work for Nuclear Blast, and I do the
Mm,
same do the
yeah.
same thing for them,
Mm,
and I do it all the time for the band. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. Cool. You've played with Exodus a bunch as well, yeah? How'd you get together with Exodus? That's cool.
Yeah, so Lee actually joined Exodus in 2005. And when they needed a guitar player to fill in for Gary, uh, he was doing the Slayer thing at that point, and I think it was still on. It was the Exhibit B tour. Was the first time where they needed somebody to fill in for him. So Lee recommended me, and I did a European tour with them for Exhibit B, and then I thought like, that's gonna be, that's gonna be it. It was
Mm,
fun. But then I got a call one day from Lee saying, "Hey, can you go to Australia with us?" And I said, "Sure, when?" He said, "Tonight." So, in the matter of a few hours, I relearned all the set. I learned two songs from Blood In, Blood Out, and got on a plane and we played, you know,
mm.
what was it? What was the name of the Soundwave?
Yeah, Soundwave was
Sound?
over here. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
We did that, and we had a couple off day shows with Fear Factory,
Oh, yeah.
and it was great. It was stressful. I literally had to make notes on my set list because I didn't have time to learn the solos, so I was improvising all
Mm,
the solos. I just had to write down what key is it in and try and
mm.
go for it. So,
Yeah.
and then I did a lot of touring with them on the Blood In, Blood Out tour. I did most of the touring for that record. I think more than Gary did because he was just busy with
Mm.
Slayer a lot. So
And you're from California originally, right? Like, is that where you
yeah,
sort of grew up and stuff? Yeah. Which albums or shows do you remember growing up that really hooked you into like, metal guitar?
I think one of the first ones that I went to where I really like got to see a real concert experience was Ozzy on the Bark at the Moon tour. I was 12, and I already loved the music, like listening wise. I had tons of cassettes back then of metal stuff, Iron Maiden, Ozzy, whatever was out. And then that when I was in LA, I was fortunate because I was there when sort of all of metal was popular then. There were the hair
Mm,
bands on the Sunset Strip in Hollywood, and then there were the thrash bands like Dark Angel and Slayer and Megadeth that were all also in LA. So like Dark Angel, I probably saw all of their shows, like there in LA, like whenever they
mm,
played. Um, and it was really cool just to be able to go to all those shows, to go to see Iron Maiden and um, I got to see pretty much all of the thrash bands at this place called the Country Club, and then my band Psychosis when I started playing when I was in high school, or actually playing shows, I mean, when I was in high school. So, we got to open for a bunch of bands when I was like 18 or 19 years old, like Flotsam and
Mm.
Jetsam and Forbidden and Sanctuary, and and then we had added we changed the lineup a little bit, and um, added Jason and Vince, and played a lot more shows after that. So it was a great place to kind of grow up and be exposed to the scene. I know the kind of music that I love to play. I was probably about 5 hours south of where I needed to be in the Bay Area,
Oh,
but
yeah.
all those bands came down and played in LA regularly, so we got to see it. It was really cool.
Yeah, nice one. Cool. So you're saying the album's coming up that you'd be working on that. Do you have a sort of date in mind, like a loose date for when the next album will be sort of around? Or?
It probably will come out. It'll probably come out next year based on, just the scheduling and everything. I hope that we can have new music sooner than that. But yeah, I mean the album already has a title. It already has the artwork is already in progress.
Cool.
We have the producer, it's all set up. It's all ready to go. We just have to get it done.
Yeah.
So, and we've actually got a couple other tracks that are already recorded, that are not going to be on the record. So we'll see. I'm hoping maybe we can put something out before to give people a little
Mm.
something to tide them over. This band has not been very good at releasing things frequently, so I'd like to change that.
Yeah, good man. Good to hear. Cool. And yeah, you mentioned maybe Australia again. Is there any chance that could be in the near future?
I would love to. Yeah, I mean, I think we just really need to have a new record and be able to come down and do it again. Um, it's hard to get, uh, it's hard to do the travel just for Australia. So last time we did Japan,
Hmm.
Australia, and a couple of shows in Asia also, Thailand and Singapore. So, I mean, that we'd love to do that kind of thing again. It was great, man. I really enjoyed the Australia tour, hanging out with the Hidden Intent guys, and it was really good. We were treated well, and we had a great time. So can't wait to come back.
Good to hear, man. Awesome. Cool. Well, it links below for the new live album, which is out today, and it's a ripper. Thanks heaps for your time, man. It's been cool to chat. Cheers.
Thank you. Thanks very much.